called Garsen Lamu Water Project. That one we have also at this design stage. We are now sourcing for funding so that it is done. Yeah. So once those is done, once those projects are done, Coast Region is well planned. For the next 30 years, it's well planned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very well, engineer. Maybe also before you hand over, sorry to take you back, but we are now looking into the possibility of, receiving rains. The weather, the weatherman has told that the rain could be coming in the next couple of days, and this is not the first time that we'll be experiencing some rain. It has always been there in some part of the country. And when it rains, it could be a lot of rain, and this rain, the water just flows downstream into rivers and also into lakes, even into oceans. What could be done in order for our people to get into the habit and the practice of harvesting and storing water, so that that water can be used in the future when there is no rain? Not just for areas like, for instance, in the Rift, or even areas in Nyanza, Western, where it rains, but also when it rains in the Asal region, that in their own small way, they can be able to store water and be able to use them when the rains disappear, even before other interventions by the government can step in.
Thank you so much, Cyrus, for that good question. We have elaborated the number of dams that we are doing, large dams, medium dams, and water pans that we are doing to harvest water when it rains. Now, last year we had a new policy, the Session of Paper number 1 of 2021. That went further, and we developed strategies. But the policy is encouraging water harvesting. The policy is encouraging communities to undertake water harvesting. When you build your own house, we are encouraging that you do a storage tank. A small storage tank that is enough for you for the driest period. Because in Kenya we know that it can be 3 months very dry. So you have a storage tank that can serve you for the next 3 months that will be dry. So as the ministry, what we are now going out is to set out teams to advise Kenyans, teams to advise people, teams even when you are at the local level, you can be provided with what you need to do, so that the roof is you catch everything, you collect everything from that roof, because they have to measure the roof and advise you that this is the size of the tank you need for the 3 months that it will be dry. So the policy is encouraging water harvesting, both at community level, both at household level, starting from household level, community level, up to the national level. The national level, we are doing dams, all right, but community level, household level, they also need storage. They also need storage. We need to get into a habit of having storage. I was in Senegal recently, and they told us that the last time it rained in 4 days in August last year. And then after that, they have never seen rain. But the community, people at household level, because when it rained for those 4 days, it is too much rain that there's a lot of flooding. So you will find at household level, they have stored their water. The same thing happens in Israel, that people store water even at household level. So we want to encourage Kenyans that we be storing water even at house level, and we be conserving the catchment. Because we have all along we have got the belief that water is a social good. Water comes from God, but water is a commodity that we cannot live without. Because our bodies need water. So we want to encourage our people to go into the habit of storing water. Storing to the capacity that you can afford. Storing to the capacity that you can afford for use when it is scarce. And that has been encouraged by the policy. We have developed a strategy. So in the next 2 weeks, I will have teams all over moving and disseminating this information and assisting Kenyans on what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, engineer. Indeed, the word is that let's get into the practice of storing water at household level, but also at community level before we look at the national level. because even the national level really is aggregation of what is happening at this household level and also the community level. Once we are able to achieve that at those two levels, then certainly we'll be able to have sufficient water to use anytime we are in a situation of drought like the one we are experiencing right now. Just been a bit, of a distress in many of the 24 counties affected, whereby water is such a precious commodity and they can't see it. So if they were to get to that habit for storing water, we would certainly be having something that they can use. Right now, they have to rely on, intervention, water tracking by the government to be able to provide water as we wait for the rains to come. So I think the message here is that let's get into the habit and the practice of storing water, or water harvesting and storing, at both the household level as well as the community level. But perhaps, Engineer, just before we end this session, is you talked about 1.8 trillion. Which is quite a tidy sum of money. Is there perhaps any collaboration with other stakeholders to be able to help us achieve this?
Thank you so much, Cyrus. That is a level of funding that the government cannot get. And therefore, we are using development partners. I talked of the 52 towns. That is support we are getting from Africa Development Bank. Of course, that is government money. Because
we have been listening to Engineer Samuel Alima, who is the Water Secretary, and they are talking about the water situation in Kenya and this is at the office of the government spokesman, Colonel Retired Cyrus Oguna, and the key message is conserve water, make sure you harvest all the water that you have, and that way the country would be secure such that if there is some dry spell, then all that the water, especially from the rains, does not go to waste. Kevin Washira is our reporter at that event, and he's going to give us a brief in our subsequent bulletins.